In the year 2000, the Media Education Foundation reported that 8 of the top 10 selling games that year featured white characters as their main protagonists. And according to a study by the University of Southern California by a professor named Dimitri Williams, 3% of all video game characters can be labeled Latino in 2009, and less than 5% of that 3% are actually playable characters. What I'm trying to get at is we have no Latino representation in the video game community. Hey guys, welcome back to the Panic Brothers. My name is Simon. I'm accompanied by Josue today.
Woo!
And,
Viva Puerto Rico.
Así mismo, mi gente. We started this whole like brand podcast YouTube channel because we kind of felt like Hispanics really get little to low representation in the video game community and just the nerd community in general. It's not something you see that often. You don't see that many Latinos out there, and if you do, their voice is not that much heard. So we made this, get some Latino faces out there. And I was talking with Josue yesterday about how little we had Latino representation in the video game community. So I was thinking it would be fun if we just, sat down and just talked about literally Latino characters, developers, the history of Latino game development, and the future of it. Hopefully something that I want to see really prosper soon. So I guess I want to start off with just talking about Josue. Do you really recognize that many Latino characters growing up and even now in video games?
No, I don't. I know you said like, oh, it'll be fun to talk about this. I'm not. It's not really fun. It's more
yeah. It's depressing.
Sad.
It's depressing. Yeah.
It's depressing. It's really depressing that I've been associated as Puerto Rican. I've been associated as Latino my entire life. But you know how hard it is to really feel proud of that when you're in the gaming community and you never see a Latino character ever. And I'm never I have, and like majority of Latinos that come on, they play video games.
No, yeah. I was about to mention like a huge demographic, especially in the fighting game community. A huge demographic are Latinos, like especially in South America, excuse me, especially in South America. There's a lot of people who just play fighting games and video games in general. And it sucks that we don't see that representation in the video game itself.
When I Googled Latinos in gaming, the biggest thing that I saw as a link, and I'm sure that you saw this too, was HispanicGamers.com.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
That had a humongous, did some great research on Latinos in gaming. But this study was made 5 years ago, and I'm still, it's still just really,
it's still
worrying
behind
to me. It's still, yeah. So the study says that 9 in 10 Latinos have played a video game in the last 12 months,
mm-hmm.
which is I can believe that 100%.
Oh yeah.
And then it's just, but those video games that we're playing, as you said, fighting games, the majority of the characters that I can think of off the top of my head that are Latino in video games are from a fighting game.
Yeah, like literally like all the characters I've written down are either from Tekken, from Virtua Fighter, or Street Fighter. Like it's all fighting games.
Dude, what is that, man?
It doesn't make sense to me. It's like, I think the problem really is also that like ever since like the beginning of video game development, there's always been stereotypes with characters. Like in GTA, you need to have Hispanic and Black gangsters. And if you're going to make a game about chivalry and knighthood like Legend of Zelda, the main character has to be white. There's always been stereotypes early in video game development. And that's why I think it's carrying over now, where the only Hispanic characters we get have to be violent luchadors or like really masculine machismo guys who can fight. That's always like the stereotype we're getting. And because of that, they're stuck as fighting characters. It's never like, oh, there's a Dominican, I don't know, like swordsman. Or there's like a wizard who's Puerto Rican. Like it's never like that because they can't be that according to a stereotype.
There's who is there? There's King from Tekken, Isabella Keys from Dead Rising,
mm-hmm.
Dominic Santiago from Gears of War.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the top 3 that whenever I Googled Latino characters, those are the top 3 that always showed up.
Yeah, they always pop up no matter what. Like those are the only ones people keep mentioning. It's like there's others too, but like they're such small scale. Like Sean Matusta from Street Fighter 5. Like,
yeah,
that's such a small reference that not many people know of. Like, I play Street Fighter games, and I really do not remember Sean because he's not that recurring of a character.
There's who plays Dead Rising anymore? Who plays Dead Rising?
Nobody.
Nobody.
It-
Nobody.
Like a lot of the
And
games are just like games people don't even play anymore.
Exactly. And the only character on this list of characters that are Latino in video games that I feel like is probably the most prominent, or at least is, it's surprising that they're like this important, I guess, but even then it's still not much of an impact. Rico Rodriguez from Just Cause, who's the main character in the series.
Oh yeah, I forgot about him actually. He's probably the biggest guy we got right now. But even still, like people don't even think about him.
Exactly. And he's the biggest character we got. And just as a joke, in my list of characters, which also includes, El Fuerte from Street Fighter, El Blaze, T-Hawk from Street Fighter, Victor Rodriguez, Saint Road, Caesar from GTA San Andreas. Bro, I also, just because why not? Because that's how desperate I am for this list. I added Carmelo Anthony from NBA 2K13.
I hate you, bro.
And I added Puss in Boots from Shrek 2.
I hate you.
But do you see how sad that is? That's how desperate I gotta go.
You have to reach to get some characters.
Reach. And then there's Pablo from the Backyard series, who is, as we mentioned yesterday,
the GOAT.
Is probably the only character I can think of off the top of my head without having done any research from the top of my head. And also Vega from Street Fighter, and we talked about that. But Pablo from Backyard was the only character I can think of. And you wanna know why? Because every time you click on his character, he speaks Spanish.
Okay, don't tell the other kids, but I speak English. I learned Spanish in school.
It's sad because I do the same thing. The characters I've written down on my paper are just characters that I had to research. I didn't remember any of these before doing research.
Exactly.
It's just not prominent. And the thing is too, going back to the first quote I mentioned, 3% of all video game characters are labeled Latino, and that was in 2009, and less than 5% of that 3% is playable. That shows you how forgettable these characters are. A lot of times they're just NPCs. They're gangbangers, or they're supposed to be like the drug dealer in GTA, or it's supposed to be like this Mysterio like looking character. I don't know. Like it's like not a character that breaks a stereotype and actually is playable and interesting. It's always some character that's just like a template for all Hispanics. It's sad and just degrading as hell, dude.
It makes me sad at the industry completely, but then we gotta extend that to who's mainly creating video games, and these video games are mainly being made in America and in Japan.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I think that's the root of the problem too, where you won't see representation of our culture, our people in video games until we get those people in the industry. Because let's be honest, the white man or any other man that's Japanese, for example, if they're gonna try to put in Hispanic heritage or culture in a video game, they're not gonna do it right because they don't know what they're really doing. Or if they do it and they try to make it right, they just end up making a template, like I said before, like just a gangbanger or something, like, or a luchador. They don't know.
Right.
So we need more of that in there, and it's sad because you and I both know a lot of Latinos are raised thinking they can't do mathematics, or they can't do computer science, or they can't do tech.
That we can't do anything.
No,
honestly.
all we're good for is literally just getting a high school degree and then getting some shitty fast food joint work or some shit like that. We're told from a young age by society that we ain't shit, and because of that, you get little to nobody in the game dev world right now that's Latino, and then because of that, you don't get Latino games. So it definitely starts there. There needs to be just more of that push where even if you're Latino, you can definitely still make video games. Latina too, it goes both ways. Despite the gender, no matter what you are in this man community, you should be able to make a video game if you really want to, or get into the gaming industry. But it just sucks because those doors just aren't open for a lot of people and they feel like they can't do it.
You mentioned yesterday that there are some Latino creators out there, right? Yes. When it comes to video games.
Mm-hmm.
But didn't you say that they're also that the games that they're making is also just stereotypical as well because they're luchador games?
So the biggest game I can think of was Guacamelee, and Guacamelee is dope because it's very Mexican in nature. But once again, it boils down to another stereotype of just it's fighting luchadors. They don't once again break that mold. And I think the reason why is because I think their intentions were good. They had good intentions of we want to make a game that has Mexican heritage to it. But at the same time, I think they want the game to be a huge success, and I feel like it wouldn't be a success if it wasn't something that people already recognize, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So it sucks because we do have some Latino games out there, but they don't really break the mold, I would say, or really do much to change up what stereotypes we already have. And I did some more research and actually found games that did break the mold and games that Latinos are actually making right now that are actually changing stuff. The problem is no one's talking about them because they're indie games made by Latinos. So no one's even giving them a chance. In like 2009, there was a game called Kingdom Rush. It was made by people in Uruguay, and it was a big success, huge success, and it kind of opened the doors for a lot of Latino developers. Ever since that game dropped, there's been a lot more Latino developers making games, so they made a community called Game Dev Latinos. Unfortunately, Game Dev Latinos has like 82 likes and 88 followers on Facebook, and they've been around for a while. And they used to do like showcases where they'd show people's games. Like they would show this one mobile game called Pixel Cup, a game called Atman, a game called Dog Mendoka and Pizza Boy. Like they legit would show these Latin made games. The problem is the company didn't get that much like really attention. And these games were made by people who, you know, were still learning and they didn't really have like AAA resources or just any of that knowledge yet. So unfortunately, those games didn't get as big as Guacamelee. But that strive is there. I definitely see people trying. I just wish these people actually had more of a light, you know? There's someone that actually could push them and show them, hey, like, look at this game that they made. Look at this, like, new Latino that's actually making video games that, like, we haven't seen before. It's breaking the mold. It's so quiet. I really wish it was a lot more, you know, loud and up in people's faces.
I don't know why I'm thinking about this, but I'm thinking about how, well, a lot of video games, as you know, already cater to Japanese culture because they're being made in Japan.
Yeah.
I've mentioned this before in the channel, but I'm going to mention it again, that Persona 5, a fantastic game, and the entire game, half of it is a sim simulator where you're just like playing as a teenager living life in Japan, in Tokyo. Can you just literally imagine an RPG where instead of being in Japan, you're playing as a Dominican in the Dominican Republic or a Puerto Rican in Puerto Rico, like walking around the streets of San Juan, or even walking in Mexico. Literally, just imagine a video game where something similar to Coco. You're spending half of your time walking the streets of Mexico, but then at night you gotta fight monsters in the realm of the dead.
No, yeah, like that. See, like, look how cool that concept sounds, and it's such a simple concept because it's been done before for other cultures. But since you bring it to our culture, our Hispanic culture, people are like, "Whoa, like that's never been done before." And then you remember it's like because people aren't making these games. It's not the stereotypical like Hispanic game to make. But something like that would be so cool, dog. Like it's so easily doable, and it would be so cool to actually do that. But you just don't see those games. It sucks.
We need more representation, man. And I know this extends to even more than just us. It also extends to, you know, to the Black community as well. Off the top of my head, I can't think of a Black character in games that like is prominent.
I get that too, because like honestly, once again, like along with Latinos, African Americans are also raised with that same mindset of you're not going to be able to do this. So then once again, both communities struggle to make games.
Our stories are very similar, which is why our stories always really overlap a lot of the time. You're not gonna you won't see us, and it's time to really make a difference in that. Whether we just raise more awareness about it, that hey, we have nobody. And how come every single one of the characters that we mentioned also, like from Tekken and from Virtua Fighter, from the characters that you mentioned, they're also just Mexican as well.
Because I think a lot of game devs, and this is no like shout out to anyone specifically, I just think this might be true for a lot of game devs. A lot of game devs believe that the key to Hispanic, you know, showcase or just like homage is to show Mexicans, and that covers all of it. But it's more than just Mexican culture. Like there's a lot of people you're missing when you do that. But to a lot of US developers or even Japanese developers, you cover Mexico, you got it all. And that's just not the case.
Not at all. You're Dominican, I'm Puerto Rican. Our cultures are very, very different than Mexico's. And even though it's still dope to see Mexico's culture, just because it's just great to see diversity, but Mexico's culture is still just Mexico. That's not representative of the entire community as a large.
You can't just be like, because we got them, we got everybody. That's not how it works.
Yeah, there's some things that transcend Latino culture, right? That's shared among all of us. Like the chancleta. That's you see that, you know what's happening. I guess I got nervous, but what are some things that we can think of that can be in Latino, that can be in a game that's representative of all of us? I don't know. I don't have the answer to that right now. I honestly
think what you do is, in my opinion, if you want to really break the mold, you do something like you mentioned, like doing like a Coco Clan based game, like that would be cool. But I think also it'd be even cooler is if you just kind of make a game based off like the not ancient past, but like the very far past, where it's like before there was Dominicans in the Dominican Republic, there was Taínos, for example, the natives.
Yeah.
Like if you make a game about the native culture in those places back then and just show an adventure game through that would be amazing, because you're just educating people on people that just were genocide 100%, just put into slavery and people forgot about. You're doing that, and also you're just eye-opening to a new culture that has no video game like adventures behind it. Because like you look at Greek mythology, look how many games it has. You look at ancient Japanese like the Shogun, and look how many games they have. You look at even just American Revolution, look how many games it has. Why can't we do like a history game on essentially like what it was like before, the people that were enslaved actually became enslaved? Like the culture that's there. That could easily make an adventure game.
That can easily be an Assassin's Creed game right there.
Honestly, dude. And it's simple, but people just don't do it because those people like us who know about that aren't in the gaming developing world. It sucks. I just think I just think the way forward is we just need to somehow raise awareness of it and just really show that there are Latino developers out there and they're just not getting any love or recognition. Because the game dev Latino community I told you about that was formed in 2009 because of Kingdom Rush, I think they're inactive now. Their website is gone. Their Facebook hasn't been updated in months. So I think they've given up, which really sucks. That goes to show you like how little like I guess light they got, to the point where they were like, this is pointless. But we need to do what they did and keep pushing and actually keep that up. A community that keeps pushing the agenda for Hispanic gamers.
I'll give a shout out right now to El Mundo Tech, a blog that's devoted to gaming for both in both English and Spanish, and trying to be representative of that community as well. Yeah, to Anna Mitchell for writing the Donde on Medium. A lot of my research was actually like based off of that article. But again, it's just sad that that's all I could find. That's all I can get. These are the only characters that exist that represent the Latino community.
So what I'm trying to get out with this conversation is, for those listening, I really encourage you that if you know somebody, or if you are Latino, really pursue going into tech if you really want it. If you really want to do video game development, pursue it. Really go for it. And if you really don't see yourself becoming a video game developer, but you want to see the change being made, by all means, reach out in your local community, find out people who want to do it, and encourage them. Maybe actually make a community of fellow game developers or just Hispanic game lovers. Josue and I made this podcast so we just get more face out there. You guys can do similar things too. I think truly, if you want to see the change, you guys should really go out there and try to make it happen. Talk to your local people, find out who else also wants to become a video game developer, and push them forward. Make it really present to people that you are alive and you want to make this done. You want to see it actually happen. Because I really, really believe there are millions of Latino kids out there who have dreamt once or twice before about making a video game, or at least being in a video game that wasn't, a white protagonist. It was actually them being represented. I know you've had that feeling for sure. I know I've had that feeling. So I think they're definitely out there, and I really push you guys to, make that change and just really get that conversation going.
If you are Latino, or just someone who's interested in joining that cause, joining that that mission of increasing Latino presence in video games, whether it be characters or just the video game creators or just video game lovers like us, like me and Simon, please join our Discord where we can have these conversations and keep continuing that dialogue. Discord link will be in the description below. We would just love to keep on talking to you and love to keep on having this conversation. And for now, please, if you really enjoyed this, if you really enjoyed hearing from us and just making sure that this mission keeps on moving forward, like our stuff, subscribe, and we're just going to keep on trying to push this agenda in a much more prominent spot.
Yeah, definitely. Happy Hispanic Heritage Month, guys. Really be proud of who you are. Even if you're not Latino or Hispanic listening to this, if you're Black, Asian, whatever you are, please feel proudful in really what you are, who you are, and hopefully you should reflect that in your work too. And that's, I think, the future that Josue and I really want to see moving forward. But once again, thanks guys for listening, and we'll catch you guys another time.
See ya.